Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. My name is Eugen and today I will be showing off the Jinhao 1000 Art Series fountain pen. A very inexpensive fountain pen that comes in one of the shapes that I like the most in a fountain pen. And for me, it's one of the most comfortable, a desk fountain pen. When I was deciding what pen to review this time around, there was a small fight between this fountain pen and the Jinhao 80. Since at the moment of making this review, the Jinhao 80 kind of took the internet world of fountain pen by a little bit of storm, I decided to go ahead and have a look at the Jinhao 1000 instead, reserving the spot for the 80 at a later time when things are cooled down a little bit. When I say inexpensive, I mean it. For this fountain pen, I paid under 5 Canadian dollars, and that including shipping. I mean, how cheaper can you get? And you know what? You actually get a lot of pen for that price. Now, going through the fountain pen, construction is very simple, not a lot to talk about. It comes in a very classical, desk fountain pen shape. And I think the closest pen that I could compare it with is the Platinum desk fountain pen. Construction seems to be similar with a few differences. The Jinhao, it comes with a very simple cap, flat ends for the barrel and the cap. And the cap does not have a clip, it's just a simple cap with Jinhao inscripted on one of the sides. Interesting is that while the cap goes from a round shape to a hexagonal shape. Removing the cap, it's very easy. Personally, I can do it in one move. So from my perspective, this cap is fairly easy to remove and the threads are very smooth. I have not had an issue with cross-threading on this cap yet. And once you remove the cap, you will be greeted by a very simple section that it's actually quite comfortable and with the same nib setup that you have on the Jinhao 80. And since it's the same nib setup, you most probably can add your favorite Lamy nibs. I guess if you really want to, this could be the replacement for the Lamy Joy. All you have to do is buy the nibs that you want from Lamy. This nib came with a number set on it, which in this case is 03. It does not say if it's extra fine or fine. However, based on the tipping that it has, it looks like a very extra fine for me. And as I was testing it without ink, seems to be actually pretty smooth. The reverse scratches a little bit, but I guess I'll know more once I have it inked up. The pen does come in a few other colors, so if you don't like the black version or you want more color in your life, you can get something else. The threads on the barrel are very pleasant, not intrusive at all. I don't think there are going to be any issues with it. If anything, will probably help with gripping the pen if you think the section is maybe a little bit too slippery. I don't have an issue with the pen holding it, and I think it's going to be a perfect match. Actually, I really like the shape of it. The balance of the pen, it's actually towards the bottom of the pen or towards the nib, which is very normal with this type of fountain pen. The barrel can be easily removed, not an issue there. The threads are very smooth, maybe a little bit wobbly, but once it's tied down, there is no movement, and you do not need a lot of effort to actually tie down this barrel. And once you remove the barrel, you'll find that this pen does come with a converter, which is actually a very nice converter, and it's exactly the same converter as you get on the Jinhao 80. So I guess You could consider this fountain pen the desk version of the Jinhao 80. It's just it doesn't have the brushed full look of the Jinhao 80. This is the pen, fairly simple, and like I mentioned, for under $5 you get a lot of fountain pen. Seems like you get a pretty decent nib. You get a converter, which honestly you could probably buy it separate for more than the whole fountain pen, and feels really nice in hand. I have no complaints about it. With that said, well, let's try and ink it up and see what's what. For today, I wanted to go back and use the ink that I got from AliExpress, which is a carbon-based ink, the coal barges. To fill it up, very easy. Remove cap, remove barrel, piston down, put it in the bottle, go halfway, go back down, and then go all the way up for a full fill. Gently wipe away the extra ink from the nib, and then you're good to go. It gets a pretty good feel, and the nib and the section cleans up fairly well. Not a lot of drama in there. There is a little bit of a groove in there. Just make sure you tuck your tissue in there, and you should remove any ink that is left in there. Going for a quick writing sample, I got some ink on my hands and I smudged the paper. This is Jinhao 1001 Art Series fountain pen. The nib actually is pretty nice. I like it. And this ink seems to work very well with the pen. And surprise, even though the reverse it's kind of scratchy, if I go very gentle on the paper, actually works very well. And it definitely does a finer line. I don't know if I'm gonna smooth out the reverse. I might keep it like this just to make sure I keep that fine line. I don't know, I'll think about it. So the pen actually writes very nice. I like it. I don't see any issues with it. Quite pleasant. Very easy to throw around. And as expected, for such a fine line, there's no actual line variation unless you go on reverse. And reverse, even though it's scratchy like I mentioned, keeps up very well. For today's drawing, I was going through my previous drawing that I've been doing on this channel, and I realized that I haven't done a bug for a while. So going through my pictures, I found this dragonfly, and I decided to give it a try. This actually it's fairly simple. The shape of it, it's not really complicated, especially the head or the body. However, another good thing about this fountain pens, you can use them as pointing tools. The body will be, like I mentioned, the body will be very simple. I think the most complicated thing that I'm not 100% sure how it's going to turn out will be the wings. As you have seen from the picture, the wings are transparent or translucent, and you can see the veins or the webbing of the wings through each other. And I like that mesh. It just will be interesting to see how it's gonna stack up. And as for the background, I'm not gonna pay attention a lot to it. I'm just gonna have some quick lines just to give the feeling that the dragonfly is sitting on something. I'm excited about this drawing. I'm gonna start working on it and let you know what I think about this fountain pen. Fun fact about today's drawing, in the end I actually had two of them, not one. At the end of the first drawing, I managed to scrub the poor dragonfly. I was using alcohol markers and I went over a few parts of the dragonfly's head, and then I wanted to bring back some of the details. But I forgot to wait for the markers to dry out, and when I started to use the pen, the ink feathered a little bit into the markers and made a mess out of it. As a result, in the first drawing, the dragonfly head, it's puffier than it should be. I was a little annoyed, goes without saying, but I did decided to redo the little bugger, and for the second drawing I left the background simple without any markers because I didn't want it to screw it up again. What you will see in the time lapse, I'm showing the end part of the second drawing only, since the time lapse from the first drawing it's pretty much identical with how I built and how I sketched the dragonfly, with the only difference being in the background. I will be showing both drawings back to back at the end of the time lapse if you're curious to see how they look like. With that excitement on the side, I did actually enjoy working on both drawings. Working with this pen, I felt pretty much right at home. One of my favorite fountain pens that I used to carry around for years in my bag were the Rotring Art Pen. Still have two of them that I might review in a future video. Things that I like about the Jinhao 1000R series fountain pen. I like the fact that it's actually cheaper than the Jinhao 80. I will definitely get a few more in the near future in different colors as well. The nib and converter that comes with it alone, it's worth the price, which is another thing that I like about the pen. It's very cheap and comes with a great nib and decent quality converter. Speaking of the converter, these look very different from the past converters that Jinhao is using. I was not a big fan of them. If these converters are the new direction Jinhao is going with, and they're gonna replace the old ones, I am all for it. These are much easier to disassemble and maintain if needed. Things that I do not like about the Jinhao 1000R series fountain pen. I have no dislikes in this pen, especially at the price it's selling for. If you really want to be picky, I guess you could complain about the missing clip. But since personally I do not care that much about clips, for me it's really a non-issue. Plus the shape of the cap does help with stopping the pen from rolling, so for me it's a win. I'm not complaining. One thing that I am not 100% sure, and I'll put it in the maybe an improvement for future column, I think that for my hand the pen feels maybe a little bit too light. I remember gripping the pen a little more than usual for finer details to be in more control. Not a joy killer, but something that I noticed. For writing only, I see it as a completely non-issue. If anything, will probably make long writing sessions more enjoyable. I think that's about it for today. Not much more to add on this pen. The conclusion for me is very simple. I like it. I like it a lot. And if you are into this fountain pens, I have no issues recommending this fountain pen. And now I would like to hear from you if you have any experience with this fountain pen, and if you don't, what is your first impression of it? Leave your questions and comments below if you have any, and I will try and do my best to answer them as soon as I can. With that said, I will stop talking, let you enjoy the rest of the drawing, whatever is left out of the time lapse, and I wish you a wonderful day or night, whatever you are, and all the best, and well, I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.